Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Doug Show. Today we're going to play with Claude, which is another chat AI. This is Claude 2. It's created by a company called Anthropic. And the thing is, Claude is very, very good. It is very good at writing specifically. So today we're going to look at writing blog post with Claude. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. I think that you probably can, but it's always good to double check. And we have some of the crew back in here, so hopefully we'll have a few folks show up to check out this live stream. So we have Zach, we have Daniel as well. We have Abakar. What's up? So thanks for hopping in here. And we're back on the schedule just a little bit with the live streams. We've been out of town here and there. I've been lazy. Some days I just was like, I've been taking a lot of time off, right? In June and July. Marcus is here too. What's going on? Good to see you. But we're kind of back in the routine, at least around on Tuesdays. So I think maybe I moved one day, but it doesn't matter. We're here today, and what we're going to do is have a look at Claude. Has anyone in the chat played with Claude? And please let me know on the replay too, so people can leave a comment and say, hey, I played with Claude. It was good. It was bad, whatever. I was chatting with some friends the other day and just on texting, right? I think we had a call, but I mentioned like, hey, check out Claude. It's actually very good. Claude 2 was released in the last, well, we'll say a month. I don't remember how long ago, but Claude's been around, and it was actually this company, Anthropic, was formed from people that left OpenAI because they were afraid of AI getting out of control. So they wanted to start another company that was focused on keeping the world safe from AI, which I don't know if I buy into all that stuff. But the point is, it's a very good writer. It's excellent at writing. You could put in similar inputs as far as training and prompts and stuff like that. It behaves, I would say, like an earlier iteration of ChatGPT. You can sort of save chats. It's not as analytical and is good at like problem solving, but I haven't run into such limitations. So I'm usually either trying to do some research or trying to have content written. And for that, it's very good. In fact, I've been using Originality.ai, which I'm an affiliate. There's a link in the description here. I think there might be a free trial if you want to check it out. But I find it highly useful for a couple reasons, which I'll show you. So not only does it do AI detection, but it also will do a plagiarism check and a readability check. So you can kind of have an idea on the quality of the content. So we have a few people that have checked out Claude. And Marcus says you checked it out yesterday after watching the comparison video. Daniel says that he really likes it. Marcus says he wonders what the business model is. And yeah, this one of the things. So it is free. Claude is free, which is pretty awesome. And it's very fast. So we're going to actually write blog posts. And I've actually done a couple on my own that I've published on my actual real blog as well. So I'll show you those really quickly. So one of them was pretty much written without much input from me other than just a couple broad topics. Like I put in 3 bullet points. So improving website traffic and rankings, looking at content, optimizing content, and backlinks. And it wrote this whole thing. To be honest with you, I didn't even read the whole thing. I just put it into Originality to make sure it wasn't plagiarized. And technically, I'm not trying to rank for this because it's a really competitive term. So I'm not trying to rank for it, but it is helpful content. I perused it quickly to make sure that it followed along with what I wanted to have as far as the broad points. And I don't agree with everything exactly, but it's good enough. And like I said, I actually published it. Now, where it gets very interesting is if you put in real inputs, whether it's um, maybe a white paper, maybe it's an interview that you've done, which we'll just cut to the chase. That's what I did, right? So I have a podcast, I have the YouTube channel. I talk to people often. I do in-depth interviews, and the cool thing with Claude is you could like upload a document, right? You could just upload a full transcript of an interview, which I did, and basically I was able to get a blog post out of it pretty easily. So let's go back here. I published this just today. So how and why use aged domains or expired domains? So I interviewed Alex Drew, the founder at Otis Global, and it was about an hour-long interview. I uploaded the file, right? So I uploaded the file in Claude, and then I asked for a summary, and I also asked for a blog post that was about 1,500 words. Now, one thing that I've noticed with Claude is if you tell it to hit a certain word count, it's usually off. I find that it's about 1/3 shorter than it should be, give or take. So it's usually pretty adaptable, and you could say, make this longer, please. And the fact that I had a full interview, I could just say, hey, use some quotes, reference things, and by the way, format everything properly. So we'll take a look at what I actually put in here. So up to the top of the chat here, I just uploaded the file. Like I said, you can upload files. So I just uploaded the transcript. I said it's a podcast interview, write a summary for a blog post. So pretty good. They summarized an hour long with, 150 words or something like that. A couple little corrections here and there, nothing too much. And then I said, write a blog post, 1,000 to 1,500 words with formatting, subheadings, and quotes. They actually claim that it's 1,249 words, but by my count on WordPress, that is, it said that it was only, 900 words. So I asked to make it a little bit longer. But basically, we end up with a blog post that can accompany this entire, basically the interview. Additionally, I went ahead and linked it to each other. So all these are linked together. I have a YouTube interview, I have the podcast interview, and then I have this blog post. I don't know if it actually helps that much, but it turns out my domains are fairly powerful. So if I link to other stuff, it's not going to hurt anything. I don't know if it's going to drive much more views or traffic or anything like that, but it's not going to hurt anything. And we have like legit quotes in here. I didn't even have to touch the formatting. I literally copied this and then just pasted it over, right? So super simple. And again, I didn't even read the whole thing because I know the input data. And the input data was based on an interview. So this is how I've been using it sort of in the short term. I'm going to pop back and maybe talk about some ideas that I have, and then we'll go ahead. If people in the audience want to provide a topic area, we can do that. If not, I'll come up with another one on my own, and then we can go from there. Oh, and our good friend David is on. Welcome, David. One of the kind moderators helping keep order out there. Gaz, what's up, buddy? Gaz says, I can't thank you enough for the heads up on Claude. It's absolutely brilliant. I produced some great content since you introduced us. Fantastic. Thank you for saying that. Sometimes it feels like nobody watches the fucking videos, I haven't been publishing as often because I've been a little bit lazy, but I'm glad that you got something out of it. And it inspires me because I actually have a list of video ideas using Claude that I could publish that are a little bit more palatable than an hour-long demo where I ramble on and probably play guitar at the end of it, right? So I can do some of those videos. I think that'll be fun. Gaz mentions that I told Claude the basis of my article and it gave me gave it my keyword research subheadings and it smashed it. So one thing that you can do, and we may even do an example here, right? Where technically, right, ChatGPT or GPT-4 specifically is very good at the analytics and maybe some of the other pieces of the puzzle, where you can get an outline from ChatGPT, maybe beef it up a little bit, add your own stuff, take it over to Claude, and Claude will probably do a better job and potentially be less detectable, basically. It'll do a better job generally. All right. Dawn says, thanks for the information. What was the program that I used to check for plagiarism? It's called Originality.ai. There's a link in the description. I'm an affiliate, so if you want to check it out, please do use my link there. And Jody says, my, how the tables have turned with AI and you. Glad to see you embrace it now. Yeah, Jody. And I think luckily I've talked so much. There's actually so much that you could go through in the past, but I stand behind my decision. The AI was absolutely garbage before ChatGPT. So it's only been about 8 months of actual usable AI, and I still stand by that. So yeah, once AI turned a corner, I'm happy to use it. And we see our friends over at Niche Website Builders, or I guess they rebranded to Make Lemonade, and they weren't able to use AI, right? Like I remember interviewing them and they were like, we're not saving money, we're not doing much different. But then they went bankrupt because they were unable to pivot the company properly. I don't know if it was possible. I'm not criticizing them or anything like that, but there's other companies like, actually the creators of Originality AI, they saw AI coming and they started to they have a Rocket content, right? So that was AI assisted content. And then they came up with an AI detector, which I think it may be one of the industry leaders for AI detection and plagiarism. There was kind of a gap in the market, and I don't know. It's a fairly inexpensive tool. Highly recommend you check it out if you want to do AI detection or plagiarism checks. And I mean, I think a lot of people are using it these days. There's other tools out there for sure, but I haven't played with those much at all. All right. So, but yeah. I'm all about AI these days, especially the high quality of the content. So one thing I want to show everybody here, back over sharing my screen. So like I said, Anthropic created this Claude second iteration, so Claude 2, and it's just, 3 weeks ago is when Claude 2 was announced. And if you scroll down here, so this is the big thing. And there was an article on Time that I shared last week, but this latest model has scored a 76.5 on the multiple choice section of the bar exam. All right, fine. And here's the big thing. When compared to college students applying to graduate school, Claude 2 scores above the 90th percentile on the GRE reading and writing exams, and similarly to the median applicant on the quantitative reasoning. So this quantitative reasoning section, so median, that's like in the middle, right? And that's where ChatGPT is actually superior, like in the 90 some odd percentile. However, this reading and writing is the big thing. So depending on what you're using, Claude or ChatGPT 4, you may need to use the right tool. So a couple, and I'm hopping over to the chat. So Marcus says, how can Claude survive without charging money and using it? So they do have products and some pricing, but I think it's more on the enterprise level. So if you browse around here, they do have like some legit products. The other thing is, if you read some articles about the company, I'm pretty sure they got big funding from, I can't remember, I think it's like Google, another big company. Like, they have a lot of investors on the other side of it, but they do have a pricing structure here. But I think it sends me to a PDF, but I believe it's generally for enterprise level API calls. So they're talking about millions of tokens here, and that makes a big difference. Speaking of tokens, that's one of the other things with Claude is you could actually put in, I can't remember how many tokens you could put in or how much text, but it's like 70,000 words or something like that. Like, you could put a book in here and ask for a summary. Now, I think you may have to, maybe break it down by different sections. I haven't tried a really long article or anything like that, but I did have an idea for a different topic area where there are a lot of like podcast interviews where I can get a transcript. There's a lot of written blog posts and other information that I could feed into Claude and ask for a summary and have essentially kind of like a research paper where I have several inputs that I have supplied, and then ask for, compare and contrast these ideas. How have the ideas around this topic changed? And has this, person changed their ideas about their impression of the topic area? Right. So there's a lot of stuff there, but I don't know how they're going to make money specifically. It is a big tech company in AI, so there's a good chance they'll have, funding and investment opportunities. All right. And Guys says the only thing that you changed using Claude was just stylistic changes, so it sounded like your voice. And Guys also says you have to force Claude to write for the UK. Okay. David, what's up, man? Good to see you, buddy. And you say Claude has been a game changer. You've been using it since it went live. Awesome. So Marcus says how Claude compares to Koala. So I haven't used Koala, but it came out with does it use ChatGPT or GPT-4 on the back end? If so, then it is dictated by the limitations of ChatGPT, which we just covered, right? So GPT-4 is still less sophisticated from a writing and content perspective than Claude. So that is a difference. I don't know how GPT-3 and Claude 2 compare to each other, so I'm not sure about that. All right, so I said there's going to be a demo. We're going to write some blog posts. So we have this. Actually, we could start a new chat here. And one thing we could do. All right, so if anyone has questions or a topic idea, let me know. Otherwise, I'll come up with one really quick. And sorry, I need to grab a little chat message here. So if you haven't signed up to get the AI cheat sheet with prompts, there's a link in the description. Highly recommend that you check it out. It's a Google Doc, so I can go back and modify it, make updates, and that sort of thing. So here's one of the prompts. So I want you to act as an SEO expert and best practices and blah, blah, blah. So I have this prompt that I trained ChatGPT with, and it's been good. So I think I should be able to go over to Claude and give it the same kind of prompt. Hopefully it'll work. I actually, honestly, haven't tried this specifically, but I think you can say, I want you to be an expert in this area. So it is telling me a bunch of good tips here. That's fine. But we could be more specific and ask for a blog post around a certain thing and see how it does. And probably, just to keep it simple, I will say, I want to do this. Can you write an outline for a blog post about this topic area? So how about building internal links? Okay, let's do this. So I'll say, write a detailed outline. And I'll let it know what it's for. A detailed outline for a blog post. All right. And as it's typing out here, we'll see how quickly it goes in real time here. David says, I've been giving it API documentation and then asking it to do things based on the documentation for me. Oh, interesting. David, can you give a specific example? Even if it's just a made up example, so we get an idea of what you're trying to do. All right. And God says, oh, on a side note, I want to personally thank you for all the help you've given me over the years. My humble hobby site has now reached nearly 10,000 page views a month. That's awesome. You obviously did all the hard work, but thanks for saying that. I appreciate it. I know, like I said, sometimes it seems like, no one watches the videos or pays much attention. The other thing, I don't do a good job answering comments and stuff. And I like hop over to really any of my other peers, right? I'll go watch like Carl's videos, or I'll watch Alex's videos or something. Tons of comments, there's back and forth. People are like, hey, this is really good. I get no comments, very few. There's like one or two, and usually it's like someone I know. But that's my own fault because I don't answer the comments. I stay out of it. I produce the content. I read the comments occasionally, but I usually don't reply back. So that's my own fault. All right. Okay, and Gaz says, even my crappy first site is gaining traffic and producing sales. Haven't touched it for 18 months. Google seems to have picked up on it. Very awesome. Very awesome. All right, so we have this blog outline. So they even suggest a title: increase your site's SEO with strategic internal link building. Get a little intro. We have the body. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 main sections. That has the takeaways and the conclusion. Perfect. So let's look a little bit deeper. So best practices for internal linking. So we have identify pillar pages and content clusters, use relevant anchor text, link to deep pages, vary link placements, audit and add links to orphaned pages. Okay, great. So one thing that you can do for this tool or any tool, just as a prompt engineer, right, as you're trying to get the best content, these tools fuck up sometimes. They're not perfect, right? Especially, if you're using, it's free, right? I can't complain too much. But we have what seems to be 5 good points for the best practices. But what I can say is we can ask for anything that could be missed for the best practices that we should add. And the reason why I like to do this is you just notice mistakes, right? Like I actually asked ChatGPT about it was like a math problem. It was like a word problem that you might see. And it was an actual like calculation that I needed for myself. I was just curious if ChatGPT could allow me to be lazy. The specific example was I wanted to see, I tracked my steps with my Apple Watch, right? And I wanted to see how many steps I needed to take for the rest of the month of July so that I averaged 14,000 steps per day or 15,000 or whatever, right? But the exact number doesn't matter. And I knew I needed, roughly a certain amount, but I was like, oh, I wonder if it could do a little word problem, simple math problem, right? And it messed up. Like I looked at the answer and I was like, that's not right. Cause I kind of knew like ballpark, I needed to average like 15,500 steps per day, something like that. Anyway, I said, ChatGPT, I think you made a mistake. Can you double check? And it's like, oh, yeah, you know what? I did make a mistake. That's a fucking math problem, right? Like that is an easy one. There's no subjectivity to that. It's just, here's the total number of steps. Here's the number of days you have left. Here's what you need to average to reach your ultimate goal. So anyway, you can ask these tools to double check and give you more detail. So if you are thinking, hey, I want to have an article that is the ultimate guide to whatever, I want it to be the most thorough. I want it to be, the length of a book or something like that. You can go back and ask for more details. So here are additional best practices for internal linking. So it's actually given us several more. So we have a lot more now. So I will see if Claude is sophisticated enough to now add the additional detail to the original outline. Let's see if it does it for us here. All right, Leather Art says just launched their free tool to know AI content. It's free. I don't know. I must have missed a message. I'm not sure what that means. But Jody says, can you imagine people finding the most popular YouTube videos, extracting the closed caption, pasting to this thing, and get a new article? At what level does this become unethical? Jody, that's actually the same idea that I had several months ago. I did a video on it. So luckily I document every idea that I get, apparently. But yeah, and actually the title is like, is this unethical or something like that? But yeah, you can go and do that. Now, if you're a little smarter, right, you would go and do exactly what I just mentioned, right? You get the podcast transcript, or maybe like 5 podcast transcripts, because maybe an author did a bunch of interviews with different podcasters. So you have tons of content. You could find some blog posts where maybe people criticized the ideas of the book, something like that. And then you could find YouTube videos and get the transcript. And then you have like a huge mass of research that you've done, source material, and you could save a lot of time by not actually reading it all. You could just ask for the summary and the comparison and the pros and the cons and what opponents say. And that's pretty interesting. At that point, is that unethical? Because that's proper research where you grab a bunch of different sources. It's one of those things, right? If you copy one source, that's plagiarism. But if you copy like 50 sources, that's research. I'm no lawyer though. So, consult your professional. No copyright lawyers. So let's check out this outline. Okay. So we went from 5 points to like 20 points for best practices for internal link building. So we have a lot of stuff. So let's try one more time. I don't want to make it too long, but at this point I'm thinking maybe I'll publish this on Niche Site Project when we finish up. So I'll just ask the same thing here. Is there anything else to add for the technical section and add it. And I'll do a compound type of a command here. So and then I'll say add to the original outline. All right. So I hope people are learning stuff from like iterating on this step here, right? So you can get even more stuff. Okay. So it failed the second part. It gave us just the tech tips, but it actually gave us a lot more. Some of them are not perfectly aligned for internal linking. So we're looking at, access restrictions. We're talking about excessive linking. Actually, that's okay. No follow. So these are like pretty advanced topics, but that's good. Now, because I'm lazy, I'm not going to type it again. I'll just say add these to the original outline, and then we'll have a really beefy original outline. Hopefully it'll put it all together. Right. Gaz says, if content writing services are now going bust because of AI, I think the next casualty will be expensive keyword research tools. Potentially. I think, I've interviewed enough people. Jake Thomas is coming to mind. I interviewed him a couple times last year, but he didn't use any keyword research tools. He just used Google, and maybe he looked at like Reddit or a couple other places, maybe some Facebook groups, but he just did research on topic areas and didn't really care about the search volumes or competition levels, anything like that. He also, in great contrast to what we're doing today, he wrote it all himself. He didn't even hire a company to do it. He wrote it all himself, and he did an excellent job. And sometimes, if I remember right, sometimes it would take him a week to write one article. Again, as opposed to what we're seeing now, where people are like, can we publish 10 articles per day all year long, or something like that? So it's a much different framework, but I think it did make a difference in the long run. Okay, so we're back here. We have a bunch of technical tips for link optimization. So we have this like pretty killer outline now, and it makes me just want to like get it to write it and then publish it on Niche Site Project just to see what'll happen, right? So we're going to give it a shot and just say, write a detailed article using the outline. And this is a pretty long outline, so I'll probably ask it to aim for like 2,500 words. My hunch is it's going to be short of that. I bet it's going to be quite short, but we'll see how it goes. One way around it, potentially, could be to ask for specific sections. So it maybe can write a little bit more for that section and then go from there. But just for fun, let's test it. I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll try. I'll say format for a blog, and use subheadings. And I'll say aim for 2,500 words. All right, so their claiming is 2496, and it's really funny. They seem to tell you the word count, but a lot of times it's a little bit off. Now, it doesn't look like it's formatting it. along the way here, it looks like, because usually it would be bold and have the proper subheadings and hierarchy like you would expect. I'm not sure if I could stop it right now. Can I stop this? No. Okay. So as it's typing along here, one thing I want to mention, I'm going to hop over. Actually, you could just look in the show notes here. So occasionally, not too often, but occasionally, I open up some courses, and I have my site growth plan course. If you're interested in growing your site, you could check it out. I open up for enrollment occasionally, and this particular summer time frame is open until August 8th. So that is about 1 week from now. And you can save $100 with the coupon code listed there. So check it out if you're interested. I was inspired to open it up because I did an interview with Jared Bauman from Niche Pursuits. He does the Niche Pursuits podcast, and he was recently on the show, which is cool. And sneak peek, I will be on the Niche Pursuits podcast coming up very soon. So keep an eye out for that. I'll send an email out. It's a cool podcast. It's the one that sort of inspired me almost as much as anything else. So, okay, so it's kind of cool. They actually put a link in here, although it says it's just an example link, and it's not always accurate. And this looks like a pretty long post here. It's going pretty far. So what we'll do in a second, we'll hop over here to Originality. Since it's typing, it's going to take a little while. So we have Originality AI. Like I said, it's fairly inexpensive. I'm not sure, but I think there's often a free trial, or you get a few credits if you want to check it out. Even if you don't care if it's AI detectable or not, some people don't. But even if you don't care, it's good to double check to make sure there's not little sections that are plagiarized. I haven't run into that problem with ChatGPT or Claude at all, like not one time, but my sample size is relatively small. If you're getting content written by someone else and you want to double check, that's really good to do too. Again, even if you don't care if it's AI written, you don't want to plagiarize, right? That becomes an issue. So while we're waiting, I'll hop over to my scans, and they actually built it out with the thought that you would have a team, right? So you maybe could check this kind of stuff out. All right. So one interesting thing. So we have how and why to use age domains. That is the blog post that I showed you before, which was based on a transcript, right? So it was based on a transcript, meaning it was a conversation, like it was a literal conversation. And I was a little bit surprised that it was, there was a 26% chance that some portion of it was AI. So that's interesting. I didn't ask it to rewrite those sections or anything like that. But in this case, I just wanted the blog post to accompany the podcast interview, the YouTube interview, and just have it out there, right? So for me, 74%, that's no big deal. I know it was a conversation as well. As far as plagiarism, it showed up as 3% plagiarized, which was kind of interesting to me. And when I went to look, it was CraigCampbellSEO.com about age domains, and it was for a definition. So the thing is, it says 3% plagiarized, but it's only one sentence right here. It is just this one. It's just the one sentence here, and it's literally a quote. And Alex, the person that I was interviewing, has the definition like verbatim, and that is the one that's often published around. So that's why it's on Craig's site, well-known SEO. The other piece here to look at is readability. So then you can see it's in the green area, 48.2, and the readability score study. So generally the 70% of the top results in Google had a Flesch-Kincaid reading ease score between 31 and 62. So it's not too hard, not too easy, The words aren't too big, so this is great. It's in the green, right? I don't worry too much about this. If it was really difficult to read, I would want to make it simpler to read. Okay, so that's the general gist of what you get. There's some more stuff that you can do with Originality AI, but this is my primary focus. There's like a website scanner and stuff here, so you could actually like go through like a lot more kind of content. All right, so we'll start a new scan here in a second. Hopefully Caude will be done. So it said that it was whatever, 2,400 words. They have this handy little copy button here, so we could just paste it. And this is about internal links, but we'll grab the title just so it's consistent here. And it says it's 2,100 words, so they're just using a different method for counting the tokens, is my hunch. But we're in the right ballpark. I thought it was going to be more like 1,500 words. So, over 2,000 words, I'm pretty happy with that. And we'll scan this now and see how it goes. We'll do this in real time too, just like everything else that we're doing today. So it'll take a second to pop up here, and you can just do plagiarism and readability, or you can do the AI detection, or you can do both at the same time. I typically do both when I'm, taking the time to do this. May as well get it all. It tells you how many tokens or how many credits it'll use. So this 2,000 words is 44 credits. A lot of times I'm just doing a small section here and there depending on what I'm trying to write. So it's still loading, so let's hit some questions. Guy says, one thing which is good now, if you were in 2 minds whether to write an article for a very low search term in the old days, AI covers this to build up a fresh site. Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. And one other, Mohammed says, I tried different articles, but the best thing that worked, I put all the info I had about a topic, some original stats, and asked Claude to write me a 2,500 words, and it was amazing. Fantastic. Okay. So we see here 82% original, 18% chance of AI. So one thing to note, I'm pretty sure this current model, this 2.0 of AI detection, I'm pretty sure they just rolled this out in the last day or two, potentially in response to Claude. I don't know. I haven't talked to John over there or the team, but the 1.4 seemed to not catch Claude at all. So 18% AI, I'm all right with that. I'm okay with this. Then we have the plagiarism. So 4% detected. It says there are 4 matched phrases, and it does give you like the score of what they think is matched. So this is probably a definition, right? So we see 13 websites have this in here. There are a few others that, right? These 3 others, they were just on one other website. So what you can do, again, Originality is a pretty good tool. So what you could do, you could actually just scroll down and you could see what the issue is. It highlights it. So internal links are hyperlinks that connect from one page on a website to another page on the same domain. So you could change it up with some synonyms if you wanted to. I think if you have one sentence that is exactly the same, it's a little bit odd, but if it's a straight up definition, then it might be okay. But in this case, maybe you change it up a little bit. I wouldn't even scan it again to be honest. So internal links are hyperlinks, and you could just say like on a web, you could change the order, right? You could just say on a site that connect from one page to another page on the same, and you could just say like website, or domain. So I'm pretty sure if you ran it again, I don't want to burn up the 44 credits, kind of hoarding them a little bit. But basically, I think that would take care of it. And then you could scroll down and find the others that are just like one-offs. Again, they're highlighted. I think actually if you click here, it'll tell you the site. You could open it up. You could check it out, read it if you want to. Oh, when I clicked here, it removed the highlighting. So that's pretty good. So let's check the readability. And that is 52. So I believe the higher scores, actually, let's click on this. Readability, the best readability score to rank in Google. So we're looking at a little bit of research here, but it doesn't matter too much. I was just curious on the grading scale. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I think the higher numbers are more difficult, if I remember right, and the lower numbers are easier. I think that's what it is. But 52 is still in the relatively easy range. I'm not going to read and try to understand here on the live call. That would be kind of boring. Okay. And Gaz mentions it's funny to have AI checking AI. And yeah, I interviewed John, the founder or the creator of Originality, or at least I don't know. He seems to be in charge over there. But the AI, continuously learns. So they're coming up with new iterations and trying to do, a better job. So they rolled out 2.0 here recently. And yeah, it'll continue to learn and do better and better, I suppose. At the same time, I don't know if Caude or other tools will be able to, write more naturally. Guy says, people often forget to internal link between articles where it's relevant, which is really important. Yeah, and that's actually a funny thing because, I was sharing the blog post that I had AI write. One of them was based on an interview that I did about age domains here. But what I need to do, right, because I literally just copied and pasted it in here, but I didn't internally link it all. I have some articles that would actually fit. Luckily, there's a tool that helps out called Link Whisper, and it's so much better than it was when it first rolled out. I think it's about 3 years old. I have like a multi-site license, so I've been paying like the highest tier for a few years, and I bought it right when Spencer released it, and they've been adding features. But that would be the easiest way where you're like, okay, I published the article. Now I got to make sure I internally link from that article, and I need to make sure internal links go to that article as well. Okay, Mohammed asked a great question here. Can we give the AI tools links to other pages with their topics and ask them to interlink the post where it is suitable automatically? I am 99% sure. I'm pretty sure I'm on an email list, and I think they showed this as well. So you could say, let's give it a quick demo, and just see. So I just got the link here for increasing website traffic. So I'll say, so I'll just say, include this link in the article, and I'll just see what it does. It can't visit links. Responses may contain hallucination. So here is the blog post with a link to that page. So it's going to rewrite the whole thing. Let's see what it does here. Yeah, good question, Mohammed. So, and that I think that's something where, yeah, if you have like your content cluster, right? So if you have your content cluster, you know what's going to be included, and you know the URL structure. You could say, here are 5 web pages, or here's 10 pages on the site. Here's the title, and here's the URL. Please link to them. Use the title as the anchor text, or a partial keyword match for the anchor text when you link to it. And we'll see how it works here. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a longer article, so it'll take a minute or two before we get to it. But yeah, do check out the Originality AI if you want to scan this stuff, if you want to get this information. Again, fairly inexpensive. I don't even know. I don't remember the cost. I wonder if we can. Well, I don't want to pop in here. But anyway, it's worth checking out. It's very good. If you want to check out my site growth plan course, now is kind of the prime time to start making sure that you are in a good spot for the retail season. Start working to optimize your content, add more content. Maybe there's some topic areas that are seasonally related that you can do a better job, just publishing content sooner so that it can rank. So we still haven't hit the link yet. So hopefully it'll be okay. And I think what I'll actually do, I should have asked to format the blog post properly, because it still has not done that. We don't have the subheadings or bold or anything like that. And hopefully we are going to have the link in here. Now, one tool I haven't played with as much here recently is Bard. So Bard is Google's AI chatbot, and it seems to be quite fast. I think it was fairly detectable from Originality AI, but I didn't do much testing with it. So I don't know how well Bard does for the GRE writing and reading comprehension sections, where, like, we know Claude tested very well. So I'm not sure if we ended up with the link here, or at least I do not see it. It says, here's the blog post with a link to increase traffic included in the first paragraph in the introduction. Oh, so I missed it. They say, hey, it's in the first paragraph. That's what I get for not reading anything. So they give us a chance. Internal links are a key for increasing traffic. So they give us a way to link right there. They just don't put the link in specifically. Mohammed, to your point though, you could say when you include the link, put it in parentheses after the word. You could actually, most likely, you would be able to tell it to put some sort of formatting, put it in brackets, put it in square brackets after the sentence, so you know where to put it. But that's pretty much it. So, okay, as we scroll down, it's pretty good. And as we're wrapping up here, I want to remind you to be sure you sign up to get the AI cheat sheet. I need to make some updates. I haven't made any updates recently. And thanks everybody for hopping on today. As we're rolling out here, I'll see if this can format properly. I'll say please. Maybe that was a missing keyword here. I'll ask to use proper subheadings, and I'll say H2 and yeah, H2, H3, and H4 for hierarchy. All right, Mohammed says, for formatting, I asked Caude to include H2s and H3s where suitable, and it formatted the way I wanted, also to insert tables. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for the tip there. I think it's funny, I didn't tell it before to use the H2, H3, or whatever subheadings, but it included them already. So I was like, I don't know why it's not doing it now, but now we have everything formatted much better. So I literally can hop over to Niche Site Project, paste this in, and publish another blog post. Gaz says, I tend to always add internal links afterwards, ensuring the keywords are in the anchor text. Great tip. Great tip. All right. I think that's it for today. I'll let this sort of finish out. And if you want to check out the finished article, I literally will. As soon as it's done, I will copy it and I will paste it over at Niche Site Project. So hop over to the blog and show Google that traffic is going there. People are like, oh, wow, this is such an amazing article. Stay there for a little while. Make it look like you read the thing. And if you haven't signed up for the email list, go ahead and do that. Thanks for popping on. Don't forget to check out some of the recent interviews. So I interviewed Jared from Niche Pursuits just the other day. He's the host of the podcast, and that went live. He talked about how he purchased a site that was like 20 years old. So he bought the site and spent about 2 years working on it. I think it was about 2 years, but eventually I think he 5x'd the revenue. So it was making $2,000 a month. Now it's making about $10,000 a month. And pretty cool story. I mean, he put a lot of work into it, and it was an older website that had a lot of stuff that he needed to clean up. So it wasn't easy, but if you do look at the sheer numbers of the value, if you were to sell it, right? So he bought it for some amount of money. He bought it for some amount, and then he 5x'd it, and that's a huge amount of leverage. So if you think about how much he could sell it later, and I'll just do the quick math. So he was making $5,000 a month. We'll say a 35x multiple. So I'm just making it up. I don't know how much he bought it for. I don't think he mentioned that. We'll assume it was about $175,000. Great. So now if it's making, oh, sorry, I put the number in wrong, guys. So $2,000, he bought it for about $70,000, but now it's making $10,000. So he could sell it for potentially $350,000. So $70,000 to $350,000, big, huge difference there. And now that I see the numbers, I'm like, I should have been able to do that math in my head, It's always harder to think when people are watching you, especially math with a lot of zeros. If I wrote it down, that'd be better. That's one thing. But all right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Marcus. Thanks, Gaz, for hopping on. And Daniel as well. And everyone, thanks for hopping on. And we'll catch you next week. I'm not sure if I'll have a guest on, but that'll be cool if I do. I'll have some guests on soon, though.